All right, Semphis here, and we're going to talk about sleep. So we're going to make this a quick one. I've made a document for your guys' convenience. It's going to go over a bunch of different points. I'll put it in the description. It's how to get enough sunlight, caffeine, napping, nighttime routine, and exercise and melatonin, and a couple supplements down here. So just to give a brief overview of it, because I don't want to bore you all to death. Sleep is one of the number one things I think people neglect in gaming, in life, performance, school, everything. I've noticed from my experience with teammates and myself that people that take their sleep more seriously and plan around it a little bit more generally perform more consistently over the year. Sure, you might be able to get away with a weekend of bad sleep and still own at a tournament, but the teammates that were chronic sleep deprivators, if that's a word, definitely seem to have more off days. And sometimes that's not your fault. Sometimes I had teammates that they would try to fall asleep, and it would be very difficult for them, and they weren't intentionally doing it. It wasn't like they're on their phone or they're talking to their girlfriend or something like that. It was like they were trying to sleep, they just couldn't, whether that came to nerves, anxiety, anything like that. So that's why I've kind of put together this list to try to help you get in a proper sleep routine. We'll try to minimize a lot of those things and help you get optimal sleep. So the first thing is sunlight. If you live in a place that does not have a lot of sunlight, you can buy a Lux light on Amazon. It's like 10,000 watts. You basically just eat breakfast in front of it, watch YouTube, whatever, put it on your desk for about 30 minutes, and that should be good enough. Alternatively, you want to go walk outside. That's the best way. Take your dog for a walk, eat breakfast, go for a walk. Even if it's cloudy, you still get some benefits from the rays. And what this is going to do is set your circadian rhythm for the day, right? So you wake up, you get sunlight, gives you all the stuff you need. As the day goes on, you're going to naturally kind of wind down and get sleepy. Melatonin's going to get released naturally in the body, and you're going to be able to fall asleep and get a restful night's sleep, right? So I put in more details in the actual document, so read that if you're more serious about it. Second point would be caffeine. Caffeine is one of those things that I love caffeine. I got pre-workout in me right now. You can hear the heavy breathing. I don't know why. It seems like right when I first take the pre-workout, I definitely get like this more like amped up, heavy breathing kind of feeling in my body, and it goes away after 15, 30 minutes. So that's just me personally. But yeah, so to get into caffeine, caffeine's awesome. I love it. I use it. Most of my teammates have used it in the past. The negative to this is a lot of people drink it too late in the evening, and they don't really account for its half-life. A half-life is not 5 hours and it's out of your body. So if you think caffeine lasts for 5 hours in the body, it's not 5 hours and it's out. It's if you have 300 milligrams in 5 hours, you have 150 milligrams in your body. Then 5 hours from there, then you have like 75 milligrams in the body, something like that, right? So you got to take that into account. There's always going to be a little trickle effect, and everyone's some people are more sensitive than others, right? So, for example, I've looked at a lot of different studies on this, and it seems like 2 to 8 hours is kind of roughly the half-life for caffeine, but it's individual, right? So some people can have a coffee and go to bed, and if you're one of those people and you're getting a truly good REM sleep, great, you do you. But like most people aren't like that. Most people, even if you can fall asleep, you're not getting truly restful sleep, and that's the problem. You want good quality REM sleep. So for me, if you're waking up around 7 a.m., you want to cut your caffeine out about 7 p or about 3 p.m. Sorry, that would be kind of like an optimal time. And then if you find that's affecting you, move it down to 1, then noon. And then since we're talking about gaming and performance like that, you do have to take into account a couple other factors. Do you have a late night match and you rather perform well in that match than have optimal sleep that night? By all means, have your caffeine. I'm not saying that you should prioritize sleep over winning certain games or anything like that if you have a competition or a test or something like that. But just in general, just a normal week with nothing important, I would try to limit your caffeine around noon to 3-ish. It is probably a good range for most people. Also, in saying that, stop with like all the energy drinks like at midnight. I've had so many teammates in the past where like it's like 11 p.m. and they pop like a Red Bull for an FPL or a pug or something. It's like, this is not helping you, just go to sleep, wake up, and DM and play your practice the next day. You do not need caffeine for like one or two pugs in the evening. It just tilts me so much when people do that. So yeah, just try to be careful with your caffeine. Some people find it really helps. Like Cynic, RIP, he loved caffeine before big games. He would take a lot of caffeine. But on practice days, he wouldn't. And that's very smart. That's a very intelligent thing to do. He never talked to me about that. It's just something he did. And I agree with it. It's like, you don't need to be using caffeine every single day in high amounts throughout your whole week, right? So if let's say you have a match on Sunday and it's Monday. You don't need to be using a ton of caffeine for those first couple days. Like, sure, have a cup of coffee, have one energy drink or something, but you don't need to be slamming, four monsters throughout the day, taking pre-workouts before the gym and stuff, because all that's going to do is desensitize the coffee, right? So you want to make sure you're utilizing it the way that you want. In saying that, caffeine generally peaks in about 15 minutes, and it's fully saturated by 45 minutes in most people. So some people like the little bit of jittery feeling. If you don't, you can take like L-theanine with your caffeine. That will kind of get rid of the nerves a little bit, the jitters. And if you, if you are someone that doesn't like the jitters and you just want the actual energy from the caffeine, I would drink it about an hour before you play, so it's fully saturated. You're kind of used to the feeling. It's not on the way up, and it's fully stabilized. So that's just me. I used to drink it about an hour before I played. Some people would drink it 15 minutes before. It really depends on the person. And just test these things, guys. Just test it like one day or maybe a couple days. You take it 15 minutes before your scrims. Maybe the next couple days, you take it an hour before and just see what works better for you. Just test different amounts. Maybe you play better with no caffeine, So you just got to test these things and be your own science experiments, because everyone's body is so different when it comes to certain things like this, especially caffeine. Napping. Napping is something that some people love, some people hate. I'm not against it. I used to never nap. Now I feel like a 20, 30-minute power nap actually provides a lot of benefit for me. But again, if you're trying to have good quality sleep for the next day, I would try to limit it before like 1 p.m. and just try to take a quick 20-minute nap here or there. There's more in the doc here, but just in saying that, again, when it comes to tournaments or matches, if you're super tired or you did not sleep well the night before, it's definitely okay to take a nap at like 5 p.m. if you have a LAN match at 6 or 7 or something, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's always about balancing. Like, just because something is super optimal, throw it out the window if you're trying to win and you think it'll help you, is kind of what I'm saying, right? So that's where you have to take like own responsibility and kind of know your body. And that's where doing a lot of consistent things in your life will let you learn your body and make it a lot easier for you to make these decisions and they be the right ones. So then we'll go down to nighttime routines. This is really important, okay? This is the number one thing that I think helped me when I was a player, because I used to have very poor sleep. One thing that helped me a lot is when I was overweight and I drank a lot of Coke and stuff, I never drank any caffeine, but I had a very hard time falling asleep. I had a very hard time staying asleep. I could still sleep, but it wasn't super good quality. So when I started exercising, doing a little bit of cardio, for example, I felt like that tired my body out, and it got it kind of set up it kind of like burnt some energy and let me fall asleep later in the day, and I would stay asleep. So even if you're someone that doesn't care about being healthy, but you want to be good at video games or you want to be a professional, these are sometimes things you're going to have to do to make a sacrifice. Like, you might be like, oh, I don't care if I'm fat. I just want to be the best. That's fine. I get it, man. I used to love pizza, and I didn't give a shit about anything except playing Pugs and Counter-Strike. But you can still do little things. Like, you can still go for a walk. You can still walk your dog. You can still do a little bit of treadmill or go to the gym, even if you don't care about being fit, because it's going to help you in the game, right? So always think about these things. It's not always about making your body healthy at a high level, right? You know, you got strong men weighing 400 pounds, lifting cars. You got people climbing Mount Everest. You got people riding motorcycles in F1 race cars. Like, these are not safe activities, you know? So at the end of the day, you got to decide what you want to do in life and what is important to you and do what's best for you. So if you want to be the best at a video game, you got to do what it takes to be the best, even if you don't want to sometimes. And that might be doing some cardio to make sure you fall asleep. So suck it up and do it. So when it comes to nighttime routine, this is my what I think helps the most is, for one, keeping a good schedule, right? So try to wake up at the same time and go to bed at the same time every night. Now, it doesn't have to be this example. It also doesn't have to be the same every week. But if you have a normal practice week, for example, and let's say you wake up at 1 p.m., then maybe you're going to go to bed at 4 a.m., right? Degenerate gamer schedule, great. But the point is you're staying on that, and it's kind of like synchronized with your Counter-Strike. Now, let's say the next weekend there's a qualifier coming up, and you're going to have to wake up at 9 a.m. A couple days to a week before that, you should be fixing your sleep pattern slowly to get in position to wake up for that match, or you're going to be very tired. So, and you're not going to play as well. So always keep those things in mind, that regardless of what your schedule you pick, I don't really care. You want to make sure you're still able to adapt it and be able to change it to what you to different times and different things that you need to do for gaming, because like our schedules change quite a lot in gaming. You know, sometimes you have matches at 7 p.m., sometimes you have them at 10 a.m., sometimes you have to fly to different countries, different time zones. So your sleep is never going to be perfect as a gamer. That's just something you're going to have to accept. But you want to do your best to make it as consistent as possible. Now, obviously, besides what I just said, you choose your bedtime, choose your wake-up time, and then you want to start winding down. You don't want to like play pugs straight up until the moment you go to sleep. Try to log off an hour or two from playing games, say goodbye to your teammates and your friends, and maybe, you know, log off, watch a TV show, wind down, nothing stressful, preferably a book, you know, prep some food for the next day, whatever it is you need to do to wind down, and then try to dim your room, dim your lights, and stuff. You don't have to be perfect. You know, you can always work up to that. And I would say if you're someone with like a poor, like a degenerate schedule where it doesn't really matter when you wake up, you could always have an alarm of when to go to bed, and just kind of like not set an alarm to wake up and just wake up naturally is actually a really good way to feel rested. So yeah, anyways, the doc has more information of how to set up your nighttime routine, but if you're someone that gets a lot of anxiety, has a lot of thoughts running through your head, obviously stuff like weed and sleep medication can help, but from my experience, getting those thoughts out actually helps the most. So there's actually a lot of sleep data on this. If you write in a journal, just like it could be something as simple as like your tasks for the next day, the tasks for that day. Did you do everything you needed to do? If you write everything down, like practice went good, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. You know, I got to do this tomorrow. I got to do that. I got a test on Sunday. Sometimes just getting that out onto paper will actually like kind of de-stress you and help you fall asleep better. So there's little tricks like that you can use. You don't have to use them all, but I just like sleep is so important that you want to try everything a little bit, right? So yeah, read the nighttime routine and try to get as consistent as you can here. Exercise, we kind of went over that already, but there is a lot of data showing that cardio specifically definitely helps with sleep. Weightlifting definitely tires you out as well, but I think the data shows that cardio is a little bit better for actual like sleep quality. I could be incorrect on that though. It's hard to remember every study that exists, and they change all of the time. So try to exercise a little bit every day, and you don't always have to think about it as exercise. Like if you just do a 10-minute walk after 3 meals, that's 30 minutes of walking. That's probably good enough for most people, right? So, or go for a 20-minute walk first thing in the morning. Wake up, get a liter of water, put a little bit of salt in it. Make sure you're hydrated, which a lot of people aren't doing. And hydration isn't just water or H2O. Hydration is everything: sodium, magnesium, calcium, blah, 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 right? So potassium. So throwing a little bit of salt in your water will actually help hydrate you. If you drink too much water and you do not have any electrolytes, you'll dehydrate yourself eventually if you drink too much. So, if your pee is completely clear, you've gone too far. There's also some sleep supplements here, magnesium. That's going to kind of what your brain needs to help regulate and put you into sleep. L-theanine kind of de-stresses you. Ashwagandha root helps with anxiety. Zinc is just something that your body needs for sleep, so if you're deficient, it's not a bad idea to take. Fish oils are just good for you in general. I mean, they reduce inflammation in the body. They I just think fish oils is just always going to be in my supplement list. Everyone should take fish oils, high quality fish oils, if you can. You get what you pay for with fish oils. Now, melatonin, you can take it, but like I said, a placebo is an effect. So if it's working for you, keep doing it. But the data doesn't really support that taking melatonin every night is really helping with sleep per se. But again, the studies are always changing. And if it's working for you, keep doing it. But I would say with melatonin, if you are using it, less is more. And yeah, so read the doc for more information on that. And that was just kind of my introduction, quick breakdown of sleep. Another thing I want to say is if you're at a tournament, a lot of things become more difficult. You want to be rooming with teammates that have similar temperature preferences as you. So if someone really likes a hot room and you like really cold rooms, it's a bad idea for you guys to room together. You should try to put people into similar rooms with similar environments. Like Marky was from Mexico and he liked it hot. I like it freezing cold. That's a terrible combo, right? Secondly, is someone super noisy? They like to stay up late. Again, is someone trying to go to bed really early? They're like an early bird. They like to do like exercise in the morning. They probably shouldn't be in the same room as the guy that's going to bed at 3 a.m. Obviously, tournaments have different start times, and sometimes you have to go to sleep at different times. But my point is try to get the person that makes the most sense for you and that you are most cohesive with. And then you're going to have some other issues. Snoring, you can't always control that. So earplugs, face mask, white noise, stuff like that is very beneficial. And yeah, it can be difficult rooming with people. If it's really bad, you can always get your own room, but that's expensive, obviously, and not everyone can afford that. So yeah, this is my video on sleep, and I hope it helped you guys a little bit. And the doc will be in the description, and tell me what you think. Peace.